And I don't have any financial interest in any of the products mentioned in the presentation. We have different treatment modalities for presbyopia. We'll be discussing here basically multifocal IOL, accommodative IOL, and LASIK procedures in this. Rest all have become almost obsolete. Conductive keratoplasty had come in a very big way a few years back, 2-3 years back, but it has a lot of drawbacks. It has to be repeated. It's a monovision procedure. You need a healthy virgin cornea, 560 Paki, which is very difficult to have in all the patients. Corneal curvature limitations should be 41 to 44 diopters. Then patient should be able to tolerate monovision. Accurate determination of the eye dominance, which is sometimes difficult. Good corrected binocular vision, and there should be no other previous treatment. Patient shouldn't have undergone any previous treatment in the past. Induced astigmatism induced, the procedure has to be repeated because the presbyopia is progressive. The procedure has to be repeated and different rings have to be produced, and it's quite damaging to the cornea. If you look at the cornea, patients who have undergone conductive keratoplasty, they look horrible. Then there is an issue of overcorrection, issue of dry eye. Then patient has, we have created anisometropia, which is very difficult for the patient to adjust to. So our concept is creating a pseudo-accommodative cornea. To create emetropia at the center of the optic zone on the visual axis over the surface of 3.5 millimeters diameter and gradually forming a peripheral zone for the near vision. So this is how it works. We have a central area for the distance vision and the periphery, which is a gradual area. Gradually it increases, the power increases up to the periphery, up to the 9.5 millimeters. And this a zone is used for the near vision. Now I'll tell you about my experience with this type of method. Our aim is, of course, to make a pseudo-accommodative cornea using excimer laser, providing binocular near vision. We correct both the eyes at the same time. It gives central distance vision and peripheral near vision. Total number of patients we have done till now is 126. Average age is 49. We had divided the patient into 3 categories, that is hyperopia, myopia, and emetropia, and we had set a limit for ourselves from +1 to +4 for the hypermetropias, and similarly up to -4 for the myopias. Now we have started reducing this limit. We have come up to 3 actually, not doing -4 lately. And emetropia, age distribution was maximum number fell into the age group of 45 to 50 years of age. This is the number distribution. Now first, before doing this, we did a total analysis of the patient's routine activities. Like patient is predominantly doing distance work, mixed work, near work, or more of the near work. Then in this software, there is an F factor, which I'll explain just now after some time in my next few slides. But before conducting this procedure, it is very important to understand the importance of OPD map. OPD map is optical path deviation that gives the final resultant power of the optical system of the eye in 3 millimeter zone and 5 millimeter zone, because these are the two, up to these they are basically used for the distance vision. So this is to show that this power can differ from in 3 millimeter and 5 millimeter zones. We basically use Nidex CX2 machine and Moria keratome for giving superior hinge flap of about, say, estimated thickness of 130 microns. Then there is a multi-step, multifocal ablation giving a pseudo-accommodative cornea carried out in 3 stages. These are the 3 stages. First stage is not there in patient who are not myopes. So if patient is a myope, we correct the myopia first. Then we do the presbyopia on whole cornea. Then because of this correction of presbyopia plus error, there is again an induced myopia, and that myopia is corrected in the center again. So 3 stages: first correction of myopia, then correction of presbyopia, then reversal of minus error which we have induced because of correction of presbyopia in the central 3.5 zone. If patient is hypermetrope initially to start with, then the hypermetropic error and the presbyopic error are added and then treated in one go. And then the central demyopization, that means reversal of myopia, is done in the central 3.5 millimeters to 4.5 millimeter zone. These are the few patients who we have treated. If you look at these slides, this is a pre-operative slide and the power is 5.61 and post-operative the power is 0.6, and you can see few rings made in the center of the cornea. And another example is this. The initial starting power was plus 2.53, now it is minus 0.12. We normally don't target for slight myopic. We don't have myopia target in these cases. Similar is another case, plus 2.5 to start with, then 0.16, then again 1.898 and 0.8, and we can see the central area with vague rings, not very accurate rings, but these work. This is a case of myopia. If we see that this is minus 7 to start with and post-operatively minus 3.46, that means it is still left with the error. Another case of myopia where we started with minus 5 and now resultant is 0, nearly 0. Here again starting minus 5 and result is 0, nearly 0. And we can see the rings formation. This is actually number 1 map, this is number 2 map, where the ring formation can be seen very easily. Here this is number 1 map, this is post-operative map where the rings are seen. This is a case of emetropia where, look, we started with emetropia and landed up with slight myopia. Started with emetropia, landed up with slight myopia. These are the few uncertainties of this procedure. Here we started with plus 1.2 and landed up with minus 1.2. These are the refractive errors. Most satisfied patients were in the group A, that means hyperopia. They were the most satisfied patients, and the myopic patients were less satisfied. Emetropes were least satisfied because they have very accurate distance visual acuity. If this visual acuity is compromised even a little bit, they are not satisfied, even if they are able to see near vision well. So, but in many of the cases we had to do retreatment because of the over treatment, over correction or under correction. There are no specific complications for this treatment. Distance vision usually settles by 2 months. Initially the distance vision is not good, so we should not rush in for the retreatments. We should wait for 2 months for at least for the retreatments. And there is no over correction in presbyopia because we always correct 2.75, not less than that, even if the patient is 41, 42 years old. Concerns are there. Large ablation zones are not easily available with the present keratomes. 9.5 to 10 millimeters flap is not easily available in all the corneas because some cornea is small, some cornea is big. So the zone is limited and the size of the flap varies according to the keratometric grading. There could be some loss of, as I told, emetropia. In emetropia, loss of distance visual acuity, uncorrected distance visual acuity, loss of slight contrast sensitivity, as in other LASIK patients is always there. Efficacy of near vision, whether it will stay for so many years. We have been doing it for the last 8 years now. We cannot predict the accurate results in these cases. Stability, few people have come back with the regression of presbyopic correction, and then the patient satisfaction. Now we have some retreatment. I'll show you some retreatments. This patient was initially corrected for plus 2 and post-operatively she became minus 3.25. Then we did the retreatment for this patient. Now this minus 3 has become minus 1.75. Now this patient is happier. She didn't come for the third retreatment. This patient is happier because now she has, as we had not intended this, we had intended 0, but she is happier because now she is able to see the near vision, near things very well. There is another example where we started with plus 1.5 and on the next treatment, on the next follow-up, she was minus 2.25, which is so bad. Patient cannot see anything clearly for the distance, although near vision is good. Then we treated this patient, and if you see, minus 1.5 came to 0. This patient now, she came for the follow-up only day before yesterday, after 7 years of treatment, and she has good visual acuity for distance as well as for near. So summary is, patients are happy, achievable pseudo accommodation is almost 2 diopters, more efficient in hyperopes, they are the happiest people, and there is a key role of positive spherical aberrations. And this is an interesting, not very interesting, but some interesting option for the high myopes. So multi-zone LASIK, as we do in our case, we keep on modifying according to the previous experience of our previous few patients. but our problems are inconsistency in the first year of the treatment, then availability of the large ablation zone, that is 10 millimeter, and stage of demyopization, which is always not very accurate. Demyoping, that means reversal of myopia. So we have started adding, after hyperopic treatment, PTK, and then we started doing the reversal of myopia, because PTK, the debris of the hypermetropic treatment, it stays there and it eats away into the demyopization process. The demyopization is not very accurate in those cases. We still are continuing and modifying our algorithms, our nomograms, and achieving better and better results. And human being is not perfect. We are continuing our change in the nomograms. Thank you so much.